Hey everybody, welcome back to the Verdigris Table. I'm Ryan Doyle, and in this one we're going to Gnomengarde, as described in the Dragon of Icespire Peak from the Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition Essentials Kit, and this is part of a series where I'm helping new and experienced Dungeon Masters get ready to run this whole adventure. So make sure you hit like. If you want more content like this, let me know, and make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Now, Gnomengarde is one of the starter quests waiting for our adventurers on that job board when they first arrive in Phandalin. If we want another way to deliver this plot hook, or we want to double down on incentivizing the party to go here, or we're stripping this module down for parts and want to graft this quest onto one of our own homebrew worlds, it's pretty easy to point our heroes this way because they've got magic items. Players are going to want magic items, especially as their pockets fill up with gold and they quickly run out of ways to spend it. When they go asking at Barthens or Lion Shield Costers for something a little more exotic, we can point them to these wacky gnomes who live around this waterfall. We get a lot of gnomes here, and they sure are wacky. We are getting 20 named NPCs, but don't worry, you don't have to memorize or differentiate them all. I would focus in on Nurkly and Korbaz, the married kings of Gnomengarde, and Fibblestib and Dabbledob, the inventors who are most likely going to be the party's main point of contact here. Beyond them, I personally would just write down all these other names that we're getting and use them when I need them here or elsewhere, because we get some fun gnome names here. Up and Down, Turv Around, Pog. Just make a note if you do it my way, and whenever you use one so you can keep track of who is who exactly. Now, the party might walk in here at level 1 if this is the first quest that they undertake, and honestly, if I were a player at your table and you handed me these 3 cards, and 2 of them were go deliver a message for 50 gold, and the third one was visit the Kingdom of Gnomes to get some magic items for dragon fighting, I'm arguing for that third option, and I can be pretty persuasive. Earlier in this series, I said a DM might want to encourage the party to hit Umbrage Hill first for a couple reasons. It is on the way after all, and it is never a bad idea to get some healing potions before heading out on adventures. So if they faced the Manticore first, then they're going to be level 2 here. There's even a slim chance that they could even be level 3, in which case, as written, this won't count towards their level advancement. Now, magic items might be reward enough on their own, but I would also consider, if it makes sense and your players go back to town after completing that second starter quest, having the Stone Cold Reavers already off on the remainder, right? Fingers crossed that it's Dwarven Excavation, because Gnomengarde is weird and wonderful with a ton of potential. We are getting an evocative setting that we can explore in a bunch of different ways with a bunch of different routes. The waterfall is roaring and steampunk contraptions are whirring and clanking, so we've got to yell to be heard most of the time. Plus there's wild magic here and a roll table creating a random effect most of the time someone casts a leveled spell. So fun. We walk into this misty water-carved canyon, and the first thing we get are these little islands with giant mushrooms that are color-coded. Red for making fuel oil and green for making bread flour and purple for making mushroom wine. Now I'm going to hop off book here at the very beginning to emphasize how much you can do with this. Now, WotC is a careful corporation, right? And they're not going to make game mechanics about intoxicants and story elements that revolve around psychedelics, especially in an introductory product. But it's just us here, right? So let's get into it. My mate down under, Matty P, the guy who put the patented Matthew Perkins puzzle box in everybody's Lost Mine of Phandelver campaigns, was tired of using the poison condition for drinking too much and homebrewed a whole set of intoxication rules, which I find very inspiring. Check it out, links abound. In my game, I used this mushroom wine and every other opportunity I can find, really, to deliver dreams connections and visions to player characters. You want to drop in some plot hooks or deep lore, an oracular vision or a visitation by a god or a patron or a ghostly ancestor, thanks to some gnome-fermented magic mushroom booze, is a great way to do it. At the end of this adventure, maybe the gnomes are going to throw a big party, right? Like the Ewoks at the end of Jedi, or just send our heroes home with a growler of this stuff. Tons of possibilities. Take advantage of them to get your PCs a connection to the Tower of Storms or the Shrine of Savras, the Circle of Thunder, whatever you want to run or provide more context for here. Or give everybody a different vision and let the players go after the stuff that they're most interested in. But we've got an adventure to run before we get there, and for me, Gnomengarde feels like the absurdity of a Marx Brothers movie crossed with like the slow burn horror thriller of Alien. So you've got a lot of room to make it as funny or as creepy as you want. The PCs will probably use this front door before scaling any walls and end up either in the kitchens or fired on by this crossbow contraptions. The kitchen is a nice chance for you to show the wacky industriousness of these gnomes. They work hard, they play hard, and if you've got any culinary or restaurant experience, you could put it to good use too. I'm not sure that I'd have the NPCs here actually avoid talking about the kings and the missing gnomes. I'd rather give the players info. In fact, I put a gnome front and center in G1 to explain the gist of what's going on here and provide some context. I had them using a barrel crab to harvest mushrooms to get both of those elements in front of the players first thing as well. There's a tendency to want to keep all your cards close to the chest as a dungeon master to set up big reveals, but those don't always or often work out in my experience, so better to just lay it all out on the table and let the players play. We don't want them to pass up piloting these crazy contraptions, right? Learn nothing about these mushrooms, kill the mimic, then get the story of what's happening here when they've already solved the mystery and completed the objective. It's way more fun for everybody if they sneak around using that like collapsible pole maybe to poke every piece of furniture from the safety of a mecha crustacean while you provide jump scares and comedic relief. It also provides a better explanation of why this gnome in G7 is gonna open fire when they walk in. If you want the PCs to be friendly and social talking here, don't have the first creature that they see try to murder them for funsies. I think gnomes should be zany, but not sociopaths. So I had Factore, or whatever you'd like to call her, riding her latest invention like a mechanical bull as it malfunctions and fires bolts in every direction. This gives the party a reason to help her, not hate her, and all the other gnomes in here by extension. You could also have her paranoid, right, and on guard against evil shapeshifters coming in here, but that's also the core of the guards we're going to find in G9. Convince me that you're not a magical shape-shifting monster can be a surprisingly fun challenge. It's probably going to be a bit easier if the PCs already faced that mimic in G8 and can show the guards its monstrous, sticky tongue appendage. And if that happens early, you might want to have the mimic somewhere else. The adventure does a pretty good job telling us it could be anywhere and anything. That's what makes mimics extra scary. I left it as is and let the fates decide, mostly because there's so much great barrel mimic art out there. But do what seems right to you in the moment. Wherever it goes down, this combat is obviously going to feel very different at level 1 compared to level 2 or 3. So don't be afraid to adjust the mimic's HP and damage output accordingly. Same goes for this trap in G10 maybe. It's likely to end a first level character, and even at level 2 or level 3, 18 damage is no joke. But if somebody walks into whirring death blades, it's their own fault, so I wouldn't stress about it. They can get creative, ask a gnome to help them with Mage Hand, or they can climb the balcony up into G12. The players outnumber you, so they'll figure it out. I love these inventors and the Mad King with his husband glued to a chair for safety. How do you make a sanity ray anyway? I think you make an insanity ray first, then reverse the polarity. If you want to customize these magic item rewards for your party here, go for it. Just be advised, handing out overpowered magic items is a great way to destroy the balance of your campaign. So be careful. That being said, we do want to set up our players for success against the were-rats later, maybe, so a single magic weapon or maybe a wand of magic missile is probably not going to break things too badly. That clockwork amulet is easy to underestimate, at least I certainly did at first, but in the hands of a smart player, what amounts to a once-a-day auto-success when you need it is a powerful thing, as my wife has shown me on several occasions. The wizard hat and rolling to cast a cantrip every day can also be great. It's probably obvious that I am a big fan of this one, but to be fair, the main criticism to make here, I think, is that it has nothing to do with the main story of Cryovain or the B-plot of the orcs. Okay, sure, we're here to find things to help us take on the dragon, but like, battle-centric players might be disappointed, unless of course they're playing a wizard who gets to copy a ton of great spells into their spellbook in this one. Now, I think that's okay. Different players will get different things out of different quests, and variety is the spice of life. We could also say that the Mimic got chased down from the mountains just like the Manticore did. We could also say that the mere presence of the dragon has created ripples and fluctuations in the weave of magic, which became focused in this canyon with its wild magic zone because of a certain alignment of ley lines or something, which manifested or at least attracted this Mimic. Now, if Cryovain were an ancient dragon, I would like that explanation better, but you do you. An occasional side quest is fine once in a while, and if we do a good job connecting the other quests in here to the storyline, I think we'll be okay. But that can be a little difficult though, as the next set of follow-up quests designed for 3rd level don't have that much to do with the dragon, and we can lose the plot if we're not careful. So we're going to keep an eye on that and make sure our players are engaged and invested as we continue this series. Thanks so much for watching. Get out there, have fun, be kind to yourself, be kind to each other, and I'll see you next time when we talk about Big Al and Butterskull Ranch. Yeehaw!